The XXIV Olympic Winter Games, also known as the 2022 Winter Olympics, is an event to be organized in a city selected by the International Olympic Committee. The bidding calendar was announced by the IOC in October 2012, with the application deadline set for November 14, 2013. The IOC Executive Board will review the bids from all applicant cities in July 2014 and then select candidate cities. The host city will be elected 1 year later, on July 31, 2015, at the 127th IOC Session in Kuala Lumpur. Bidding calendar. On October 3, 2012, the IOC announced in a letter to the NOCs the bidding calendar for the 2022 Winter Olympics, October 3, 2012. First information circular letter to NOCs. June 6, 2013 IOC officially invites bid applicants from NOCs and publishes the 2022 Applicant City Questionnaire, November 14, 2013 deadline for NOCs to submit the name of an applicant city, for December 6, 2013 Applicant City Seminar at the IOC headquarters in Lausanne, Switzerland, 7 February 23, 2014 Olympic Winter Games Observer Programme, March 14, 2014 submission of the application file, July 7, 2014 selection of candidate cities by the IOC Executive Board, January 7, 2015 submission of candidature files and guarantees, February March 2015 IOC Evaluation Commission visits, June 2015 Evaluation Commission report, June 2015 candidate city briefing to IOC members, July 31, 2015 host city election at the 127th IOC Session in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, candidate cities. On November 15, 2013, the IOC announced the list of the 6 applicant cities, which has since been reduced to 3. On July 7, 2014, the IOC announced all 3 remaining applicant cities would move on to the candidate phase. These cities are, in the order defined by the IOC, cancelled bids, Stockholm, Sweden. On November 11, 2013, the Swedish Olympic Committee announced they submitted a bid to the IOC for the Games, but on January 17, 2014, Stockholm dropped the bid, because of lack of political support. About 610 km from Stockholm, was scheduled to host the alpine skiing events. Stockholm previously hosted the 1912 Summer Olympics, but this was the first time the Swedish capital was bidding for the Winter Olympics. Kraków W, Poland. On November 7, 2013, the Polish Olympic Committee announced they submitted a bid to the IOC for the 2022 Winter Olympics, together with Zakopane and Jasna, a village in central Slovakia, near the Polish border. If the bid had been successful, it would have been the first time either Poland or Slovakia hosted the Olympics. Zakopane previously bid to host the 2006 Winter Olympics but failed to become a candidate. However, Krakow's bid was submitted to a local referendum held on May 25, 2014, which gave a negative result. After that, Krakow discontinued the application on May 26, 2014. Lviv, Ukraine. The National Olympic Committee of Ukraine officially submitted a bid for Lviv to host the 2022 Winter Olympic Games on November 5, 2013. On June 30, 2014, the International Olympic Committee announced that Lviv will turn its attention to an Olympic bid for 2026, and not continue with its application for 2022. The decision comes as a result of the present political and economic circumstances in Ukraine. Candidate cities venues list. Candidate cities comparison. All data come from applicant cities bid books. Some public support data has been updated. Evaluation of the applicant cities. Each cell of the table provides a minimum and a maximum figure obtained by the applicant city on the specific criteria. These figures are to be compared to a benchmark which has been set at 6. Previously interested in bidding, Tiroler South Tiroler Trentino Euroregion, Austria Italy, the former parts of the county of Tyrol, Tyrol in Austria, South Tyrol and Trentino and Italy were considering a joint bid as the Euroregion Tiroler Euro-South Tiroler Euro-Trentino for the 2022 Olympics. The capital of Tyrol, Innsbruck, has already hosted Olympic Winter Games twice, in 1964 and 1976, as well as the 2012 Winter Youth Olympics. However, the Common Legislative Assembly of Tyrol, South Tyrol and Trentino rejected the proposal during its session on March 30, 2011. Sarajevo, Bosnia and Herzegovina. After the announcement that Sarajevo will host the 2017 European Youth Winter Olympic Festival, President of Party of Better Future of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Varudin Radonja said that Bosnia and Herzegovina will apply for the 2022 Winter Olympics to be held in Sarajevo. Sarajevo previously hosted the 1984 Winter Olympics when it was part of Yugoslavia. Quebec City, Canada. Quebec City initially expressed interest in bidding. In September 2011, Quebec City Marat copyright Ghislain Beaume ruled out bidding for 2022. However, the city may bid for another Winter Games in the future. IOC President Jacques Rogge stated that he believes that the 2026 Winter Olympics would be a realistic option for the city to organize the Games. Quebec has a problem finding a mountain for the downhill event, as the planned location Le Massif was not approved. Santiago, Chile. After an interview with then International Olympic Committee President Jacques Rogge during the 2012 Olympic Games in London, discussions were started about how to organise Winter Olympics in the Southern Hemisphere for the first time. During the interview, conditions in the Andes were highlighted as very suitable to stage snow sports events, but a lack of existing venues for the ice sport events was identified as well. Nice, France. After the failure by Nice to secure the French nomination for the 2018 Olympics, the mayor of Nice, Christian Estrosi, announced in 2011 and again during the 2012 Summer Games that his city was still interested in bidding. The French Olympic Committee will make a decision after they get an autumn report about the failure of previous Olympic bids by France, but the president of the committee also said that the probability of bidding for 2022 is weak. Turku, Kuopio, and Helsinki, Finland. During the 2010 Winter Olympics in Vancouver, Jouko Pyyntikäinen, the Secretary-General of the Finland Olympic Committee, said Finland could host the Games alone in Turku, Kuopio, and Helsinki if the project for artificial heightening of the Turku Hill progresses. Stefan Wallin, Finland's Minister for Culture and Sports, has also suggested that Finland should bid for the 2022 Games with other Nordic countries after Finland's NOC discusses with them in Vancouver. Nothing followed from these suggestions. The heightening of Turku Hill did not progress since 2010 due to environmental concerns, and no Nordic countries indicated an interest to bid with Finland since the discussions in Vancouver. Munich, Germany. Following the failed bid of Munich to host the 2018 Winter Olympics, plans were made for a second attempt. On September 30, 2013, Deutsche Olympische Sportbund announced its intention to submit a bid for Munich to host the 2022 Winter Olympics. The Olympic plans were cancelled on November 10, 2013, though, due to the outcome of referendums held in Munich, Garmisch-Partenkirchen and the Bavarian districts of Berchtesgaden Land and Traunstein, where the competitions would have taken place. In each locality, a majority had voted against bidding, 51.2% in Munich, 51.6% in Garmisch-Partenkirchen, 54.0% in Berchtesgaden Land and 59.7% in Traunstein. Arguments brought forth by the opponents include the high costs for hosting the Olympics, environmental issues and criticism of commercialization of sports in general and the IOC in particular. In order to address concerns voiced about the 2018 bid, the 2022 Games would have been located at 4 different places. Only alpine skiing and ski jumping competitions would have been held at Garmisch-Partenkirchen, whilst Nordic skiing and biathlon events would have taken place at existing facilities at Ruhpolding, thus minimizing the land use. The car paragraph Nixie bobsleigh, luge, and skeleton track would have become another important venue. Indoor ice skating events and ski-snowboard half-pipe competitions would have been held at the Olympiapark in Munich, the main site of the 1972 Summer Olympics. and the Olympic Stadium would have been used for the opening and closing ceremonies. Queenstown Christchurch, New Zealand. Queenstown, New Zealand's main winter sports centre, has toyed with the idea of bidding for hosting rights of the Winter Olympics in the past, notably a 2007 report suggesting a bid for the 2018 Games. A proposal to bring the Games to the Southern Hemisphere for the first time in 2022, to be jointly held in Queenstown and Christchurch, has been mooted by a private group, but does not have general support among the country's Olympians and is seen as unlikely to proceed. Braian registered trademark of Prahova Valley, Romania. The mayor of Braian registered trademark of, George Scripka, said in September 2011 that his city would be interested to bid if the 2013 European Youth Winter Olympic Festival is a success. In 2007, former Romanian Prime Minister Carl Florin Lin Popescu Tar Florin Risianu announced that the country was considering a bid for the Prahova Valley. Instead of bidding for 2022, Braian registered trademark of mayor, George Scripka, announced in November 2013 that Brasov will be bidding to host the 2020 Winter Youth Olympics. Barcelona, Spain. Barcelona considered a bid for the 2022 Olympics, but on October 25, 2013, Mayor Xavier Trias announced that the conditions would not exist yet. Instead, one must concentrate to reach the Olympic target by 2026. On January 13, 2010, then Mayor of Barcelona Jordi Herrai had first announced plans to host the 2022 Winter Olympics. The proposed two-cluster system would have seen the Games being shared with La Molina, a ski resort in the Pyrenees. Indoor sports would have taken place in Barcelona. Zaragoza, Spain. The Zaragoza Pyrenees 2022 bid was withdrawn on November 7, 2011 and left Barcelona as sole candidate from Spain to host the 2022 Winter Olympics. Officials insisted that Barcelona never regarded Zaragoza as a rival, but rather the opposite. Both of us championed the Pyrenees brand in our projects, and that's why I believe Aragon will also benefit if Barcelona goes ahead with this bid, because it will have a positive effect on the whole Pyrenees. Östersund, Sweden. Östersund was interested in a potential 2022 bid, but the Swedish Olympic Committee decided not to move forward with bidding due to a lack of financial guarantees from the government. The SOC chairman said that future applications were unlikely because of the government policy. However, Sweden has applied with Stockholm as main city, with more arenas and hotels already available, therefore lower cost. Grauber 1 Court in Den, Switzerland. The intention to bid was approved in November 2010. On January 24, 2011, the Swiss Olympic Association announced that 5 areas across Switzerland had shown interest in bidding to host the 2022 Winter Olympics: Geneva, Valais, Grauber 1 Court in Den, Lucerne, Central Switzerland and Bern. After a withdrawal from Central Switzerland, the Swiss Olympic Association received 4 bids by March 31, 2011 deadline. The Executive Committee of the Swiss Olympic Association decided on August 11, 2011 to put forward a bid of the St. Moritz-Davos area to host the 2022 Olympic Winter Games. St. Moritz last hosted the Winter Olympics in 1928 and 1948. St. Moritz-Davos presented a project that will host all events in the surrounding area of Davos and St. Moritz. Generally speaking, ice events in Davos and snow events in St. Moritz. However, Davos has a hosting tradition in cross-country skiing and snowboarding, and so one would expect Davos venues for those competitions. After the decision on August 11, 2011, a feasibility study for the Games was announced, including the possibility to extend ice events to Zurich. The organizers decided during a session on December 22, 2011 to go forward with St. Moritz 2022 as the official corporate name of the bid. However, at a plebiscite in Grauber 1 Court in Den about the bid on March 3, 2013, the public voted with 41,758 to 37,540 votes against a credit for the 2022 Olympic Games, meaning that the bid will have to be dropped. Multiple cities, United States. Multiple cities in the United States such as Bozeman, Denver, Reno, and Salt Lake City expressed interest in bidding for the 2022 Games, but the USOC is opting to bid for the 2024 Summer Olympics or the 2026 Winter Olympics. Broadcasting: a Japan, a Euro-Japan consortium, a North Korea, a Euro-SBS, a South Korea, a Euro-SBS, a United States, a Euro-NBC. References. External links: website of Oslo's 2022 Olympic bid, website of Almaty's 2022 Olympic bid.